Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back. Thank you so much for stopping by, for taking a little bit of time out of your day to chit chat some makeup with me. I hope you're having a great day so far, whatever you are up to today. We're going to talk about one of the Huda palettes today, and it is the Khaki Haze. So she recently released 3 new of her 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. I typically really go for these, and this is no exception. Her last round were those pastels, and that turned me off a little bit because they were so light, they were so dusty, that when these came around, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be a little more cautious. Now, she did release 3. Sand Haze, Purple Haze, and Khaki Haze. The purple and the khaki immediately drew me in, especially the khaki, which is obviously the one I picked up. Purple, we'll get back to it, and then sand is just a no-go for me. So we're going to talk about this little palette today in case you're interested. I feel like people are very divided on this brand, but I personally love her products. So if you're interested in seeing just if this palette is right for you, maybe just for fun and entertainment purposes, just to see what I put on my eyes, whatever the case may be, let's jump into this right now. So I'm going to kind of keep this a little bit shorter and sweeter because it is a smaller eyeshadow palette. I don't even know that it's that anticipated, but obviously it was anticipated by me. This is a $29 eyeshadow palette consistent with her other 9-pan little plastic, hard shell, whatever you want to call it, packaging. Again, I picked up 1 out of the 3. Based on this one, I may very well go back for the purple. I don't know. I am finding it difficult to not swatch things at Sephora. It's making it a little hard to determine, okay, do I really have something like this or not? And I didn't want to buy it, not like it, and then return it. I'm trying to avoid doing that. Anyways, so it is, again, $29. It is made in China, which I find all of these little 9-pan palettes to be consistent in where they are made. And I don't know why there's a difference on where these are made versus where her others are made. I feel like her big ones are made in Italy, I think. Anyways, but it does have a 24-month shelf life. The difference in where they're made, quite frankly, I don't see I feel like I have liked these just as much as her bigger ones. So anyways, most of them anyways. It does come in the typical clear packaging, and on the back it's just the label with the ingredients. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, the cover is, I like different, and you guys know that. And this cover is different. The haze is, it's trippy. It's a little bit like, I don't know, it does its job. Let's just say that. Whoever wanted to do this in marketing, this does its job. It's great. I love the unique aspect of it. I love when brands come out with different things like that. You guys know, I am a olive green, army green, like that is what I go for. One of the shades I go for in eyeshadow. And the casing, or I guess it's casing, I don't know, is green. It's so pretty. This just truly called my name. Inside you do have your typical mirror, and then you do have 9 eyeshadow shades in here. So there are, I forget, let's see, there's 5 mattes, 4 shimmers, and just as with all her other 9-pan palettes, depending on which palette it is, varies on how many mattes and how many metallic / shimmers are in that particular palette. This, again, has 5 matte and 4 metallic. So that being said, let me go ahead and grab you some swatches so that you know what they look like. We'll go into the demo, and I will take you into my final thoughts so that you know how I liked this palette. I may have already given it away though. I don't know. I'll be back. Let's go by row. This is the top row. These don't have any kind of shade names. That's not anything new. And I'm hoping you're gonna be able to see these because some of them are a little light, which again is typical with a lot of Huda palettes. I do have to say that. I think that was one of the appeals with her, was it the nude palettes? Yes, I'm looking right at them. So the nude palettes, there was such an appeal with those because she made them in a light, medium, and deep version. So, you know, you could use all 3 or you could use 1, and you could pick the one that best suited your skin tone. But yes, a lot of her palettes do have the lighter shades. So I will be back with the second row. Here we go with the second. This one's a little bit deeper, obviously, not a little bit, this one's a lot deeper. This one shows up very well. And this is the olive green metallic shade. You guys know, like that's immediately where my eyes went as soon as I opened the palette. Final row. All right, y'all, so now that we're done with swatches, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. There's a lint, and we will be right back. Starting off with the matte shade on the top row, we're going to grab that with a blending brush, and this one really does have a ton of kick up. I mean, it looks like I'm smoking a cigarette when I tap my brush. Just wanted to show that to you. Just gonna layer this on about 3 times. It does show up very nicely on my skin tone, but I do like to layer 2 to 3 times, and that is exactly what I did with this one. Do you see that? It's crazy. I've never had an eyeshadow do that to that extreme before. All right, next going in with that middle olive brown shade. This is really a unique and beautiful shade. I really do like this one. I'm going to go in with a smaller blending brush, and I'm going to kind of target this on the outer portion of my lid. I did layer this again 2 or 3 times. It took a little finessing. Also placing this on the inner portion of my lid, going to create almost like a little halo eye. But again, taking a little bit of finessing and building up, it can look a little bit muddy if I'm not careful. But placed the right way, this really is a beautiful shade, and I find that it's pretty unique to my collection. Next up, going in with that deeper brown shade in the middle row, and this is what I'm going to use to just deepen up a little bit on the most outer portion of the lid. I'm not going to put too much because I don't want it to overtake that matte olive green shade, but putting a little bit in there, just like I said, to kind of deepen it up a little bit. Now I'm going back in with that same brush and the middle olive shade, and I'm going to kind of place a little bit more down just to kind of add a little bit more opacity. And going in with my Fenty Pro Filter Eye Primer, placing this on the middle portion of my lid. Y'all already know this is what I use as my tacky base for a metallic standout shade. And I just apply it directly with the wand. Next, going in with my finger and that top row, that top shade all the way to the left. I did have to dig a little bit with this one. The others I don't find I have to do that as much, but this is a beautiful shade. It looks like metal on the lids. It's absolutely a beautiful metallic shade. Next, I'm going in with a flat shader brush, and I'm really digging in there, obviously. These shades are really not conducive to using a brush, but to get into those detail areas, sometimes you have no choice. Going back in with that same blending brush, obviously I'm going back and forth because I'm really building this inner and outer lid shade up, and whatever I cover up, I try to come back and replace, if that makes any sense. Going in with a black eyeliner by LA Girl, I'm just going to tightline. This just kind of brings it all together so that there's not any like little nakey spots from my liner to my lid. Next, going in with some mascara because I am going to place some falsies on after this. Typically don't do my mascara on camera, but I figured today we'd go for the whole shebang. Going in with that same Fenty Pro Filter Primer, my inner corner, again, because I'm going to use a metallic shade, and going in with like a little pencil brush, and I'm going into the shade that's to the right. Again, this one takes a little digging. These are very thin formula, and so, or a thin formula, and so you really do have to dig, but they do go on really, really nicely. Going in with a liner brush and the deepest shade of the palette, which is in that middle row, and I'm going to place this on my lower lash line. And I'm going to add some black liner to my waterline. We're going to really make this a more smoky look or sultry look, more than usual. Just placing my falsies on to add that extra oomph. And then of course we're going in with some mascara on the lower lash lines, or lower lash line, which I always forget to do, it seems. And this is the final look. I hope you enjoyed, you guys. That is the end of that segment. Again, as always, I hope you found it easy to follow, just kind of beneficial for purposes of really seeing the palette in action. So now is the time to talk about this bad boy. So first of all, like I mentioned, I love this color scheme. So you may be asking, okay, it's a neutral palette and you don't typically go for neutral palettes, so what's the deal? I know. But once you throw in olive shades, that is a sweet spot in my heart for a neutral eyeshadow palette. And this one, like I said, as soon as I saw the promo pics, khaki was the first thing that that my eyes went to. That's the first one I knew I would probably pick up. And so the color scheme to this, I like it. It's a little bit more on the unique side when it comes to a neutral eyeshadow palette. So as usual, let's start off with the mattes. You saw in the demo, I did it on purpose, that I went in with the shade and kind of tapped it because it literally looks like I'm smoking a cigarette with the dust that comes out of these, or off the brush from these shades, you guys. It's crazy. I don't think I have encountered one this bad. Now, granted, that doesn't mean I love the shades any less or that I like the shades any less. It's just one of the, I guess, downsides of the formula. I don't know. And here's the thing, I'm not as familiar, I'm not as knowledgeable in when a palette or when a shadow is hard pressed versus when it's soft pressed. I'm gonna say when it's hard pressed, you don't really get too much fallout. You don't get a lot of that dust. You don't get a lot of the, just the fallout or the kick up or whatever it is. But with softer shadows, you do. I will tell you, these are very soft to the touch. So I'm just going to assume that it is the way that they are pressed in the pan that causes them to do that. But legit, you guys, it looks like I'm smoking a cigarette when I tap it off. And I can keep going, and you saw all of that come off of there. So the worst is this one. It's beautiful, though. It goes on really nicely on my skin tone. And it builds very, very nicely. It's not like, oh, I don't see anything. No, that one shows up very nicely on my skin. And the others do the same thing, just not as bad. So I don't know if it's because it's a lighter shade or what, but you saw that. So they're very soft. I never have a problem, quite frankly, with Huda mattes. And this really is no exception. They go on nicely. I have no issues. This olive shade takes a little bit of finesse. When you put it on the lid, you kind of got to build a couple of times because if not, it can look a little bit muddy and ugly. But once you kind of start working it in, once you kind of know what to do with it, then it's actually a very, very pretty shade. I like it because it's a more unique shade, at least to my collection. Let's go in with the metallic shades. This is the reason I love these palettes from Huda, is because they are, when I say standout shades, they're standout shades. You saw that go on my lid, and it's like that with all four in here. It's very metallic, very, very metal looking. I don't know how else to describe it except that. I know that that's a given when you put on a metallic, but a metallic doesn't always look like metal on the lid, and these do. I will also tell you, however, I need to give you the flip side. This is a very thin formula, and typically I'm not a fan of thin formulas. However, I have found, especially in these 9-pan palettes, the metallic standout shades to be a very thin formula. So typically I have to go in, I have to rub a little harder. I do go in with my finger. Don't even bother using a brush, only if you're gonna go into those detail areas like I did, but you will get so frustrated. Use your finger, always. I keep on telling y'all, and it's something I will probably tell you forever. But these are no exception. They're very thin and truly only work with a finger. So, but that being said, they do apply very nicely. With the consistency being so thin, I would have thought that it would have gone on pretty sheer, and it was anything but. So there is that positive, and that for me is a total win. So all in all, I love the palette. I love the color scheme. I love the standout shades and the mattes. Yeah, they have their disadvantages, but they also have their advantages. They're very, very lovely. This is a total score for me personally. I think you're gonna have to decide whether, one, the color scheme, obviously, if it's right for you, if you're okay with those mattes doing that, and then with having to use your finger for the metallic shades. I saw somebody on Instagram say that if you have the Supreme Nudes, then you don't need the khaki. I don't remember who it was. I disagree with that. I don't. I'm sorry, but I know that there's that olive green shade, but for me, that's where it ends here. And this has a very, I don't know, I was gonna say olive type of tone, but khaki is the perfect word to describe this color story. And I truly don't think no, if you have this one and you have your eye on this one, I still say get this one. I'm going to show you a couple of the shades of what people might think there are similarities, but this is the like orangey type of shade in the Huda palette, and this one is the shade in the Artist Couture. They are nothing like each other. One is a gold and one is a more of an orange copper. Literally the olive shade in here, there is nothing like that in the Huda palette. And in fact, let me give you the two olive shades side by side. The one in the Artist Couture is a satin, and they're so different. They're so different. The one in the Huda has literally a khaki tone. It's olive, but it's whoever came up with this color story, name, whatever, it's like brilliant because it's spot on. So it is definitely a deeper shade. This is Huda and this is Artist Couture. This is more of like an army-ish type of green, and this is like a more olive khaki type of green. Very different. And then I feel like, well, yeah, you're gonna get some of these neutrals in any palette that you pick up, and so, you know, I mean, you probably find a little bit of similarity there, but overall, this to me, I would have still picked this up regardless of owning this. So in case you were wondering. All right, my friends, so that brings us to the end of this video. I'm so excited because the next video you see is likely going to be one of the new Too Faced holiday palette releases. I've got that one and the new Marc Jacobs, what is it, Cherryific palette. Anyways, I picked up those during the VIB Rouge preview event. No, when it went up on the website. I sure missed those events. But anyways, I did pick those up, and those reviews are coming your way very soon. So I hope you're as excited as I am, because it's nothing better than holiday makeup. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because you know we're about to get flooded. I mean, they're coming for our wallets. Today's verse of the day, you guys, comes from Psalm 59:16, and it says, "I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing of your love. For you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble." I hope everything is going so well for you, but I know that's not the case for everybody. When somebody's having their best day, others are having their very worst. So no matter what kind of day you're having, no matter what kind of journey you are on right now, it is my prayer that you would just seek Christ as your fortress, as your shelter. He's so amazing, and he has been mine, just my fortress and my shelter in so many ways, on so many levels, so many times. I can't even tell you. But it is just my prayer that if your heart is just feeling such a void, that you would call on him, and that you would feel his peace and his presence and his love, that he would just wrap his ever so amazing arms around you, and that you would feel that comfort no matter what it is you're going through, no matter, like I said, what journey you're on, what chapter of life you're in. I could sit here and tell it to you all day long, but we have videos to film, we have makeup to test, and on that note, you guys, I love you. I hope you'll give this a thumbs up if you found it helpful. If you just enjoyed it, please consider subscribing if you are new. I'd love to see you here again, and I will talk to you in the next one, you guys. Take care. See you soon.